Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Mojito with Majeeto for potentially the last interview before the end of 2024. And I'm sure this will be a great one because for the sixth episode, I'm joined here today with James Martinez, aka the young Angel Batista from Dexter Original Sin. What's up, man?
Hello, man. Hey, thanks for having me. Love talking about the show.
How are you feeling so far about the show and the way fans are loving it just after the first episode?
Yeah, I was a little nervous right before, but I'm really relieved. Just overall, everywhere I look and read, and just the feedback has been very positive. Everyone's really happy with the first episode, so
That's
I'm glad.
amazing.
Yeah.
I really love the first episode. It really captured the original Dexter feel. And I love
Yes.
the performance too. And how did you prepare for the role of Angel Batista after you got cast?
I actually knew David Zayas
Oh,
personally. Yeah. We met in New York years ago, just doing a lot of theater in New York and plays and just in the theater community. So we had known each other a little while, so that was definitely an advantage. And then I was a fan of the show way before I was cast, just when it first came out, but when I got the audition, I definitely got to work. You know, I saw a lot of footage, just especially focusing obviously on Angel and kind of all of his mannerisms, his voice, but also kind of who he was as a person, and trying to imagine what he would be like 15 years before the original. You know, what he would be
yeah.
like as a young man. So that was important.
What was your reaction to getting cast? Because now you told me that you were a fan of the show. So what
Yeah.
was your reaction to being cast as Angel?
I was very excited. I just was, I'm not going to lie, I was over the moon. I couldn't believe it. That's the initial reaction is happiness because you get to be a part of this amazing franchise with such a huge fan base. That's the first reaction. And then after it settles in, you're like, oh, wow, I'm playing Angel Batista. This is a lot of pressure. You know, all of the guys and girls that are playing younger versions of any of these well-known characters felt like they had big shoes to fill, and they felt the pressure. They felt nervous, and but also very excited to be a part of the Dexterverse. So
Yeah.
we just knew we had to take it seriously and do the work.
Is there anything crazy that die-hard Dexter fans should expect or will be surprised at in Dexter Original Sin?
First thing that comes to mind is probably the Dexter's family. I think they're going to find out things about his dad because there's also flashbacks within the prequel that go all the way back to the 70s, as anybody who saw the first episode knows. So they're going to take a really deep dive into Harry's story as a father, as a young cop, everything that he went through that led up to finding Dexter in the shipping container.
Interesting.
So a lot of details in Harry's story that Dexter fans wouldn't have known by watching the original.
Yeah. I'm honestly hoping for like a Brian Moser cameo in the background or something.
I won't say anything about anything specific, but there are so many Easter eggs
Oh,
in this season that you'll be able to spot, and it'll keep the fans wondering if that's what they think it is. You know, if something looks like something, it may or may not be it, but you'll have to kind of stay tuned to see if you were right or wrong about what you think you saw. So it may come back around and it may be just something that you thought was something and then it was nothing. So
yeah.
there's a lot of that, which is, I think, a fun game a fan could play watching it.
So exciting, man.
Yeah.
The experience like filming on the set of a show like Dexter Original Sin, and how was it like getting along with everyone?
Well, the first thing I noticed was the set. You mentioned the set showing up to the actual bullpen. The Metro Miami Metro Police Department was wow, it looked like something out of a museum of TV history. It just
Yeah.
everything was the layout was exactly the same, except it was dated. It was the computers were big and bulky. Very smoky, a lot of beepers and old radios. Just even from like the soda cans, everything was from the '90s, except the layout of the actual office was the same. And then and then when we first did the reading, our first table read of the first step of this episode that just aired, that was the first time the whole cast got to meet each other. And when we met Michael C. Hall, we were just wow. We all felt butterflies in our stomachs, and we couldn't believe that we were going to be a part of this, and to actually hear his voice uh, in the Zoom call where some people were there in person. I had to be in Zoom because I was in New York, but when I turned on the Zoom and Michael's face popped up ready to read the narration part of the story, and the fact that he was just so cool and very welcoming, and just very excited about the show. So just having his support throughout this whole process just made us feel a lot safer and more confident about what we were putting out.
That is so awesome, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you feel any pressure from the fact that this was a prequel to the original Dexter show?
Absolutely, yeah. Which is why when I was cast, I did feel excitement, but then I felt some nerves afterwards, because I know the fans are very protective of the show. They love the show and they want it to be really good. And also, we knew that there was going to be a lot of comparing because of how much the original cast is beloved by the fans. So to recast this amazing ensemble with a younger version of the original felt overwhelming, and we felt pressure. But the vibe on set and the writers, and the fact that Clyde Phillips was still running and writing, and that Michael C. Hall was still involved, we were like, they know what they're doing. They picked us for a reason. The script was great, really, really good. And like you said, there's some homages to the original, some hints about what may come, in future seasons if we have them. So we all felt confident with the team that was put together to make the show. And I went and looked for David Zayas right away to tell him that I got cast, since we knew each other. And I just kind of wanted to pick his brain a little bit, get some advice, and kind of get his blessing, just I don't know why, but I felt like I needed that from him to just give me that vote of confidence to say, you got this, you can do this. And maybe any advice that he could give me. And the advice he gave me, which was key for me to kind of move forward with the role, was that Angel doesn't have a cynical bone in his body.
Yeah.
And when he said that to me, it really hit me in a way that I could just take that and run with it. I just needed something, some kind of nugget that would help me pull off this role in a way that would honor the show and honor David Zayas and what he created and the groundwork he made. And he was right. The Angel is such a good element to the show because he is such an optimist, and he does lead with his heart. He wears his heart on his sleeve. Everything he does, whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, it comes from his heart. And he's such a hopeful guy, just looking for love. Except in this version, he is single. He hasn't been married yet. He's young. He's a bachelor, and he's also just beginning to learn about being a detective. I imagine him maybe just leaving the uniform and starting out as a rookie detective and just finding his way in the force.
Angel Batista is like really one of my top 5 or top 10 favorite characters of Dexter. He's really so lovable and so sympathetic. And most importantly, he's romantic with that La Pasion.
La Pasion, yes, La
And
Pasion. So we're gonna get to see him do a lot of things for the first time, you know, just the first time he meets Dexter, the first time he meets Maria La Huerta. So just to watch these relationships kind of be born, so to speak, is and the way it happens, because this is we everyone who is a fan of Dexter knows how the prequel is going to end. We all know where it's going to go.
yeah.
But this is one of those shows that it's really not about the end. It's about the journey, you know, the whole trajectory of all these characters and how they end up becoming these characters that we already know and love.
So how will we be seeing the origins of La Pasión and if Angel will teach young Dexter his romantic ways?
Well, episode 2 and 3, I believe, are dropping this Friday.
Yeah,
So those 2 episodes, I won't say any more than this, but those 2 episodes will answer your question. Yeah,
so
it's a fun
exciting.
meeting when because, like you said, you know, Dexter starts the force, and you know, Angel Batista being as sympathetic and willing to help, he sees Dexter show up to work, and he knows that it's Harry's son. Harry Morgan is Angel's hero. You know, he looks up to him. He wants to be like him one day as a detective. So when Dexter comes in, I feel like Angel feels a responsibility to take him under his wing and make sure that he feels welcome and help him in any way he can, personally or professionally.
You know, when I first like when I watched Dexter and even when I rewatched Dexter, like I never imagined that your character worked with Harry. So it's like surprising to see that this much backstory was revealed within Dexter Original Sin, and he
Yeah,
was fight with Harry and the rest of the gang at Miami Metro. So like how does like Dexter Original Sin like make sense of that continuity and that timeline?
I imagined that Harry was someone that Angel looked up to. Um, Even before he started working at Miami Metro, I think he was making his rounds as a street cop. You know, just working the uniform. Um, you know, maybe I imagine maybe his dad was in the force and he wanted to be like him, um, and then through just his experience and working as a cop, he always said, you know, Harry Morgan is making a name for himself in Miami. I would like to work alongside him. So maybe he wasn't working directly with him, but I think he was keeping an eye on him. And
Yeah.
what we see in Original Sin is the very beginnings of him just getting his feet wet, uh, learning, paying attention. Uh, if you see Angel, he's kind of more in the background this time as opposed to being so involved. But again, it's about the journey. So you kind of slowly see him getting better and better and getting more involved with the squad as the season goes on.
Is like also like last but not least, Dexter Resurrection is releasing in the summer of next year. It was confirmed. And is there any way that Dexter Original Sin perfectly leads to that finale, like Michael C. All Dexter finally waking up from the surgery or something? Do you know anything about that?
Well, all I know is what you guys saw from the beginning of Original Sin, where this is. I also think that, you know, we need to remember that what we're seeing in Original Sin is all coming from Dexter's mind. You
Yeah.
know, so this is his perspective on his whole life and how he saw it and how he saw these people. You know, so sometimes we take things for what they are. We look at the flashbacks and we say, this is what happened. Well, we have to keep in mind this is how Dexter remembers everything, not necessarily how it happened. You know, how he, I'd be interested to see how every character individually imagines how everything happened. It's like when you hear two people tell a story, it's two
Yeah.
different versions. We're hearing Dexter's version, so that's what's important to remember.
I got a bonus question. If we ever got another season of Original Sin, where would you want to take Angel Batista?
Um, I think professionally, he's doing what he has to do. I would like to explore a little bit more of his personal life, where he goes after work, where his heart is as far as relationships go, his family, his sister, in the story, where she's at, because he's in his 30s, so I think he's finding his way, just with relationships. Because when we see him in the prequel, he's out, always out in the club, dancing, meeting girls, hanging out with friends, having drinks. He works hard, plays hard. He shows up to work hungover, does his job. He's living a young life in Miami. So I'd like to see a little bit maybe on how he meets his first wife, the person he ends up marrying, what his relationship with his family's life, and how maybe his work is affecting his personal life. I'd like to explore a little bit. I think that's just enough story for him and the potential second season.
That's so amazing, man, and very interesting too. So that's it for today's episode, and it was very nice getting the chance to speak with you, James.
Yeah.
And I wish nothing but the best for you, man, and the best for Dexter Original Sin.
Thank you. We appreciate the fans very much.
You're the first actor from the entire Dexter franchise that I ever interviewed, and that couldn't have been any more perfect.
Well, I love your content. You have very insightful things to say about Dexter and all the franchises that you cover. So thank you, and thank you for being a fan and getting our show out there. Yeah.
I wanted to show you this.
Hey, not bad. You have the goatee.
Yeah.
I could see it. I could see it.
You want to tell the fans some like La Pasion advice?
Remember, lead with your heart. That's called La Pasion. Communication, trust, La Pasion.
Wow, that is freaking amazing. I love that voice. That was spot on. And for the viewers, if you guys enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button and check out my other interviews if you haven't already. And be sure to check out Dexter Original Sin. And yeah, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Happy New Year, everybody.